So that takes us to our first guest, who is a key player in the right's potential death match with Speaker McCarthy, Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida. He is back. He was under a cloud of suspicion. Everybody was writing him off. Didn't happen. And he is arguably more relevant than ever. My discussion with him is pushing us to the brink with a shutdown. I get why they're angry about spending. I get why they want change. I get why they see this as maybe their last best bit of leverage. But is it worth it if there's a shutdown with what it means to the rest of us? And the congressman joins us now. How you doing there, Congressman? Appreciate you being with us.
I'm good. I don't know why you said I'm on a comeback. I've always been here. You're the one on a comeback, man, and I'm glad to join you after a few years.
I am definitely, I don't know if I'm on a comeback, but I'm definitely getting up off the ground. But, you know, look, you had a lot of heat on you, and you said that it would pass, and it did. And that's the past I'm talking to you about right now. And this battle that you're waging against McCarthy. Let me just get one part of it out of the way. Do you think you'd be a better speaker than McCarthy? And is that part of this for you?
I have no interest in being speaker. I think almost anyone in Washington, D.C. that we threw a rock at would be a better speaker than Kevin McCarthy, but it's not a job I'm seeking or aspire to or would have any chance to obtain. We do have talented people in our conference who I think have broad respect across the varying factions and segments. And of course, we've got people from urban and rural and suburban places, and we got to find a way to come together. I don't think the way we should come together is by lumping the disparate agencies of government together in one up or down vote. I've been here for 7 years, Chris, and during that entire time, our government has been run by either continuing resolution or omnibus. Matter of fact, we've been run that way since the mid-90s. I think we have to liberate ourselves from that system. We need single subject spending bills. We need to negotiate those in a bipartisan way in divided government in order to get them into law. But that will ensure that we have at least a fair paradigm in which to put downward pressure on spending.
Listen, conceptually, I get it. I think anything that you could do that would reduce profligate spending in the eyes of the Americans, things that are spent too much on things that matter too little, would be well met. But how you do it matters. You do not have the time to do what you want to do right now.
That's on purpose,
and you may
though.
well put us into shutdown. But if you do that, you know you are the face of the shutdown, and nobody likes that.
Listen, I want to be the face of returning this country to a fiscal path of sanity. And what I know is that this is not a bug of the system. It is a feature. They purposefully wait until the very end, and then they use shutdown politics to agree, to make the representatives agree to a framework in which you're just taking one up or down vote on everything from veterans to our troops to the Department of Education and the Department of Labor. That is not a serious way to do this. And the reason I know it is not a fantasy, it is not unreasonable to do single subject spending bills. That's exactly how most of our states operate. They set a top-line budget number, and then they have bills pursuant to that top-line number. Now, Kevin McCarthy's problem is he made multiple contradictory promises to different groups of people. He promised House conservatives one number, then he went and made a deal with Joe Biden at a different number, and then he told House appropriators to mark to a different number altogether. And so that has created the confusion that drove us to this moment. Now, we will have to deal with that and why our leadership put us in that position. But the answer isn't to revert to the muscle memory of continuing resolutions. The answer is to do what we're endeavoring upon this week. Put 4 individual bills on the floor. Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, Department of Agriculture, State and Foreign Ops. It's about 73% of the discretionary budget. And I don't like the fact that there might be a shutdown over the weekend or for a few days as we try to get the rest of the work completed. But I think that's what it's going to take.
Look, I get it, but this isn't a test in law school. They're never going to get through the Senate, and we're going to have a shutdown, and then everybody loses except maybe your faction by making McCarthy look bad. But you know all the different things that happen in a shutdown. You know that there's only one rating agency left that hasn't punished the American borrowing mechanisms for the last 2 shutdowns, right? One was a debt ceiling issue, and the one before it was a shutdown. You are essentially saying, I don't like how we do it, so I'm going to do something bad, too. I get why you want to make it better, but a shutdown doesn't make it better, Matt.
No, I'm trying to force discipline upon a process that has been broken since I have been in high school. And I think the only way to force that discipline is to engage the negotiation on the terms of the individual bills, not as one up or down proposition.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.